Howdy folks, Nathan coming at you from the TFL Satellite Studios, deep in the recesses of Denver, Colorado, and my house. Guys, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're staying safe and sane out there. And today we have, well, it's kind of a sad email, but it's something that I think is kind of topical, considering what's going on right now. And I wanted to address this, and this has to do with buying a used car. And there's a lot of people out there right now who are looking at purchasing a used or much less inexpensive vehicle in the near future, partially because they're being affected by what's currently happening, and they're worried about what they're going to be able to afford in the next few months. So I wanted to read this email I just got, and it's from Lewis from Texas. Here we go. Nathan, been watching and reading TFL for quite a long time, but never needed to ask you anything until now. I'm in the process of giving back a loaner car, and I will need to get a car of my own when this is all over. This virus is killing my bank account, and there will be no way I can afford payments on a new or used vehicle. I'm not a car guy, but I like to drive, and just like you, I enjoy driving a stick too. Cool. I only have a few, maybe $3,000 to work with, and some of that money will be needed to start me with cheap insurance. I will need something cheap, reliable, and roomy enough for my family of 3. We're dirt poor, and having a good car would help us work when the time comes. What's the best we can hope for? I'm kind of out of hope, so any suggestion would help. These are tough times, and I'm sorry to sound mopey. What would you recommend looking at? And this is once again Lewis from El Paso. I'm sorry, Lewis. I know things are tough right now, but there is a lot of good news, and one of the things that's really positive is that you're in a great place to purchase a vehicle that you need. I actually was looking on Craigslist and some other local affiliates out there that deal with used cars and whatnot, a variety of different ones, Auto Trader and whatnot. And inexpensive vehicles do exist out there, especially ones that might work for you, but I specifically want to talk about one in particular. In terms of used cars, if you can find one in good condition, a 4-cylinder Toyota Camry might be the way to go. Believe it or not, they even had a few that had manual transmissions. And there are a few other versions of the Toyota Camry, but I specifically want to talk about the older ones that were around between 1998 and 2002, around that time period. It's actually 96 to 2002. Those were the XV20 platforms, and they were, in my mind, and many other people agree with me, some of the most reliable cars that were built and still are some of the most reliable out there. Really solid, especially the 4-cylinder engine. Now, it was a 2.2-liter 4-cylinder engine, not a ton of horsepower, not exactly what I would call scintillating, but it got really good mileage. It had a 5-speed manual transmission, which isn't the easiest thing to find. There's also a 4-speed automatic transmission. Both of them are very solid transmissions. If you can find the manual, it will make it a little bit more fun and slightly more economical if you drive it correctly. Either way, solid vehicle, tons of space, really safe, especially for the year it came out. Just a good, solid investment. That 2.2-liter 4-cylinder engine is a gem. Very reliable. My thing is, even if you get one that has a lot of miles on it, if it was well maintained, and if you're willing to take it in, and have it looked at properly and maintain it, you should be able to get some good mileage and some good service out of that car. Now remember, one of the problems with used vehicles is that when you get them, something on them is wearing out and the former owner was deciding to get rid of it. And that's including things like tires. So when you're looking at these new cars, keep that in mind. Keep in mind the fact that those are probably 15 or 16-inch tires and wheels that you may need to replace. And if that's the case, replacing them with some new, fairly inexpensive rubber, you might, put that into that budget. Now, I did look, as I said, into some local periodicals that have vehicles for sale, and it looks like a vehicle like that with between 120 and 160,000 miles, which is a lot, run between $1,800 and $2,800, around that area. So the question is that something you'd be willing to do? Would you be willing to buy a car with a lot of miles? Well, the good news is that, once again, if it was properly taken care of, or if it had some recent maintenance, perhaps a brand new transmission put into it, or the upper end was rebuilt, something that happened recently with it to update it and make it a little bit more reliable, that would be a really good start. So unfortunately, I can't be there with you when you're looking for that car, but I do recommend a 4-cylinder Toyota Camry. Its baby brother, which has a very similar type of power plant and whatnot, the Corolla, is a great choice as well, but you mentioned that you wanted a lot of room, so that's why I was pushing for the Camry. Now, there is another question that we do have from another viewer, and it is also in regards to the Camry, and the question is, will there ever be an all-wheel drive Camry? And the answer is yes. Actually, not only did it come out recently, but there was years and years ago a Camry that had all-wheel drive. And that was, we're talking about the 90s. So there are a variety of different vehicles that Toyota is now building that have all-wheel drive in them, and that is including the Camry. There's only certain things you can get with it. For instance, being able to get the big engine with the all-wheel drive system, can't do that. But according to Toyota, the 4-cylinder with the all-wheel drive system is all you'll need. So we do have some videos available where Roman actually has an opportunity to talk to one of the engineers who helped put that system together, and I do recommend checking that out. So there you go. All-wheel drive, yes, you can get it in a Camry, and even if you go back a couple decades, you can actually find an all-wheel drive Camry. So lots of Toyota Camry questions. Guys, thank you so much for sending your questions into TFL. Remember, we have the TFL Truck Podcast and the TFL Car Podcast, and they're answering a lot of your emails as well. And if you're not able to get through to them, of course, you can send it directly to TFL Car or TFL Truck, and they'll make sure that the right people get these questions so we can answer them for you. Remember, guys, take care of yourselves. Be safe. Be sane. I'll see you next time.